Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I am an equal opportunity offender. I don't just do stories about HOAs and cops. I'll talk about bad lawyers. I'll talk about bad judges. And in fact, I'll call them out because nothing lawyers hate more than bad judges or bad lawyers, because when we have to deal with them, it makes our life very, very difficult. I've done videos about bad judges here in Michigan. And Dennis sent me a note about a bad judge in Philadelphia. And it's not my opinion. It's the opinion of the people in charge of the judges in Philadelphia. LawAndCrime.com published a story by Jerry Lamb, former Philadelphia family court judge, suspended for blatant and inexcusable conduct that wreaked havoc on litigants. The judge has now been suspended for 6 months without pay after a state disciplinary tribunal issued an opinion concluding that her repeated, clearly improper conduct, which included wrongfully jailing multiple people and failing to be impartial, was blatant and inexcusable. The ruling on the issue was succinct and 6 pages long. An 8-judge panel on the Pennsylvania Court of Judicial Discipline said the judge's abuses of power, repeated demeaning of people appearing before her, and overall interference with litigants' rights was unprecedented because of the extent of her misconduct in these areas. Witnesses brought before the tribunal testified to the havoc the judge had wreaked in their lives with her imperious actions, the ruling said, noting that on 2 occasions she baselessly ordered people jailed when such treatment was improper under the law. So you go in front of her and you wind up in jail, and not because of something you did illegally. The court views this case as the most egregious one involving rude demeanor, failure to timely proceed, and imperious action it has seen. In considering the cases where the court has removed a jurist from office, it is important to note that such an extreme penalty has generally involved a criminal conviction, or at least clearly criminal conduct. The few exceptions involved in the removal of judges with a multitude of violations who also had essentially stopped working. Accordingly, in this case, the court imposes the most severe sanction it has ever handed down, short of dismissal. During the hearing, the judge admitted she was guilty of alleged misconduct, saying she was suffering from a serious medical condition and undergoing great personal difficulties that contributed to her poor attitude and actions. And several character witnesses testified on her behalf. They shouldn't even allow character witnesses in a case like this, because all of the things this judge did in open court would be on the record. You simply look at what she did and make a ruling. And for someone to come into court and say, well, I know her, she's nice. Who cares? According to a report from the Legal Intelligencer, the tribunal's attorney portrayed the judge as an out-of-control tyrant who separated children from their families without allowing them to speak, and who threw people in jail for contempt without legal justification, including a grandmother for not knowing the whereabouts of her adult daughter. That grandmother testified that she was traumatized by the contempt ruling, which the state superior court later overturned after holding the judge exhibited a pattern of conduct of holding parents in contempt and ordering them detained without conducting a contempt hearing, which is something you're actually supposed to do first. In a statement, her attorney said that the judge has dedicated her life to public service and helping others, and the court's decision will enable her to continue to pursue her passion in the justice system. Whenever I see someone's got an attorney and they're in a lot of trouble, I'm always fascinated. What are they going to spin out of thin air on this one? She's dedicated her life to public service. Yeah, but she does it horribly. And the court's decision will enable her to continue to pursue her passion. Well, yeah, when her suspension ends. We thank the court for allowing the judge the opportunity to continue. So he thanks the court for not ousting her entirely. In addition to her suspension, she's put on probation for the remainder of her term in order to write individual letters apologizing to each of the people she'd wronged from the bench. That could take a while. She was also barred from serving in the family court division during her probationary period. Now, 2 judges dissented from the opinion. And when I read that sentence fragment, I got upset. I thought to myself, wait, two judges didn't want to do this? Oh, actually, it gets better. 2 judges dissented, with both believing that she should have been permanently removed. In a dissent joined by other judges, they wrote that she caused one disaster after another. At the time the complaint was filed, she was over a year behind in issuing her opinions in dozens of fast-track appeals involving whether parents would be permitted to raise their children or would lose them to foster care. By failing to complete these opinions in a timely manner, which the law sets at 30 days, the judge effectively denied the parents any chance at an effective appeal. Delays of a year and over are especially egregious. A year away from one's parents in the life of a young child is especially harmful. And so I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that I immediately thought when I saw there was a dissent that, a couple of judges are going to say, hey, she's okay, that she shouldn't have gotten this punishment. And actually, it's the first time I can think of where a dissent actually went even further in agreeing with me. And I'm stunned. So the bulk of the judges who heard this case said, yes, suspend her for 6 months without pay and then put her on probation for the rest of her term. It's an elected position, so she'll be up for re-election somewhere down the road, and hopefully the voters will do the right thing. But they suspended her for 6 months, and then several judges dissented. Not that they think she shouldn't be suspended. They think it should be permanent off the bench. And this is the kind of crazy thing. There are some judges out there who are slow. I've seen judges where they can't make up their mind for lunch within 24 hours, okay? But here, she's hearing fast-track appeals on child custody issues. And instead of getting an opinion out in 30 days, it takes her a year. Now, that is, I don't know whether you want to call that like horrible neglect or incompetence, but you have to understand that judges have support staff. They have clerks working for them. So when a judge hears testimony at a hearing and says, I will make a ruling, the judge should be able to walk off the bench and pull a clerk aside and say, can you start preparing an order? I'm going to rule in favor of one party against the other party, and my ruling's going to be this, 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 and this. Slap it together and get me a rough draft. Rough draft comes back later that day or the next day. Judge reads it and goes, okay, I like this, don't like this, change this to this, change this to this, boom, 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 but there's your order. And I have never encountered a delay like that in my 30 some odd years of practicing law, okay? And it's baffling. And that delay by itself should have been reason for her to be suspended. But the other stuff she did, jailing people for no reason, that kind of thing, yeah, that makes it even worse. She elevated it. She raised it to a whole new standard. So she was suspended for 6 months without pay. And some judges dissented and said it should have been permanent. And I agree with them. Because think about this, and you know, when a judge sees case after case after case after case, pretty soon it seems like an assembly line. It's like I Love Lucy trying to package the candy, right? They just keep coming, just keep coming. Yeah, but the point is that they're going to keep coming. So you got to speed up to match what's happening. You can't slow the system down because they're going to keep coming. So if she's taking a year to write an opinion and more cases are coming in, guess what? The ones that came in today won't get written in a year. They'll get written in like a year and a month, year and 2 months, year and 3 months. So it's a very, very serious issue. It is an utter display of incompetence, at the very least, with respect to how long it took her to make decisions. But the jailing people without hearings because a grandmother doesn't know where her adult child is, and that's a contemptible offense. So some people shouldn't be judges. This is one of them. So that's from lawandcrime.com. Jerry Lamb wrote it. Dennis sent it. Thanks a lot. Former Philadelphia family court judge suspended for blatant and inexcusable conduct that wreaked havoc on the litigants. And of course, that'd be Judge Lyris Young in Philadelphia. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail.